Coast Berbice, Maiconi, and other parts of Region 5, East Berbice, Quarantine, and indeed the entire Region 6, welcome once again to another program of Issues in the News, where we discuss the important issues that have taken place over the last week or so since we met. I have had a very, very hectic week. We had Parliament on Thursday, and the parliamentary session ran into the wee hours of the morning. We left Parliament until about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then again, we had Parliament on Monday, yesterday, when again the session ran into about 4 o'clock this morning. So I have had a very hectic schedule over the last few days. But nevertheless, I am back and I am here, and we will have a great program discussing the important things that have taken place in our country. I want to begin, in fact I want to choose tonight to speak about corruption in government. You know, the coalition government, the AFC, APNU, have spent a great deal of energy and a great deal of time during the past 3 years when they were in opposition, particularly highlighting allegations of corruption against the PPP civic administration. And as you know, they led the country and they led the world to believe that the PPP is this corrupt organization and that there was rampant corruption in office during the PPP civic administration. I am accused of corruption in the social media and elsewhere. Although I only served in government for about 2.5 years. I entered government in December 2011 and I exited government in May 2015. Just 2.5 years I spent in government. Whatever I have, I got it before I went into government. I have been in private practice as a lawyer for nearly half of my life, and I dare say a successful lawyer. But all of that doesn't matter. There are people in the government, when they were in the opposition, who were bent and who are still bent in making and fabricating allegations of corruption against you when they can't treat with the issues at hand and they can't debate with you issues. So the easiest thing to do is to lump you into this bunch of corrupt people. And that has been their modus operandi. When they took government, after a few months, they were unable to find this massive corruption that they so regularly spoke about. And they began to feel pressure from their supporters, and of course their credibility was in place, was under attack, because they have made these allegations of corruption and now they are in government. They are unable to prove these allegations of corruption. Quickly they appointed these forensic auditors. So they couldn't find corruption on their own. They couldn't get the Auditor General to substantiate their claims of corruption. So they chose their own auditors. Christopher Ram, Anand Gulsaran, Nigel Hines, all supporters and cronies of the administration, and along with a few others, they assembled a huge team and paid them hundreds of millions of dollars to do forensic audits into these accounts of the government. Well, a year after, still they can't find this corruption. The President has repeatedly said that the forensic audit have not been able to unearth evidence of corruption. They sent dozens of files to the DPP asking for charges to be instituted. They sent dozens of files to the Guyana Police Force asking for charges to be instituted. But On all the occasions, these files have come back, and with the recommendation that no charges can be filed, that the evidence which have been found do not amount to corruption and do not amount to criminal conduct. Granted, if a forensic audit is done of any organization, you will find discrepancies, you will find mistakes being made, you will find monies that were supposed to be put in one place being put elsewhere. But that doesn't mean that there is corruption, because you have incompetence in government, and incompetence does not equal corruption. So by and large, the forensic audits have been unable to unearth the corruption that they want. So all those hundreds of millions of dollars went down the drain. And again, the character and credibility of the government is dented because they promise that there is massive corruption, and after a year and a half they are unable to prove any of these allegations. Of course, they made a big hue and cry about us leaving monies in accounts at various commercial banks, but they were government monies. They were not in any minister's name, they were in the ministry name. We deliberately put those monies there. The accounts of these monies are in our financial statements, which are audited by the Auditor General, and the Auditor General report is produced every year and sent to the Parliament, where it is examined by a Public Accounts Committee, which is chaired by the opposition. So they knew all of this, because they should know, because they are seeing the accounts all the time, every year. So that disclosure that there are millions of dollars in bank accounts, and they said that they're going to transfer them, etc., etc. Up to now, they have not transferred these monies. The monies are still in the commercial banks, in the name of the government. So again, that did not produce the kind of charge or the type of prosecution that they want. So as time passes, they are becoming more and more desperate. So they now took over SOCU. SOCU is this organization that you have heard me speak so many times about. It was established to investigate money laundering and terrorism activities. It's a special force set up to investigate financial crimes and allegations of terrorism, if there are any in Guyana. They have taken SOCU, bastardized SOCU, took SOCU into the office of the president, and are giving SOCU directions to go and investigate people, investigate PPP leaders, investigate former ministers. SOCU has written to the Registrar of Deeds requesting the properties of a whole host of former ministers of the government. So they can't get much out of the police force, because the police force, they have certain degree of independence. A minister can't direct a police officer how to conduct an investigation or what investigations to conduct. So because they are unable to get the police force to do their witch hunting, they have now taken SOCU on board and are now instructing SOCU to carry out their witch hunting exercise in order to prove their allegations of corruption that they keep clamoring about during the elections campaign. And even SOCU, so far, has been unable to unearth corruption. So they are getting more desperate. They set up another organization called SARU in the office of the president, headed by Clive Thomas. That organization also has abysmally failed to unearth this evidence of corruption that they are seeking. Now they are passing a new law to empower SARU now, to make SARU another police force. And you will hear me talk about that in due course. I'm studying the bill currently. The bill is very thick, 100 and something pages in length, and it essentially seeks to establish a parallel police force with a person heading it, calling himself a director, and this person has powers to investigate crime, investigate your taxes, investigate your conduct in government, and a whole host of things. All of this they are doing in order to persecute and witch hunt the PPP civic leadership and former ministers and persons who worked in the last government. And also they are doing this to prove that they are right because they fabricated these charges of corruption, and so far, a year and more after, they have been unable to prove a single charge of corruption. Look at what they are doing to Omar Sharif, the permanent secretary. They have Kaichor News publishing that the man has $10 billion in his account, and he stole, he has, 10 properties, and he's a multi-billionaire. Okay, well, he's doing all of that, and yet you can't charge him. If you say that he has done so much, he has 10 billion in an account, he has 10 accounts in commercial banks, he owns 10 property, all of that you are saying. You are saying that. And you can't file one charge. In months, you can't file one charge. You have the man sitting at home. A man who you say stole $10 billion is on $200,000 bail. That makes sense. You have not even taken his passport. He can leave the country if he wants. He can sell any property that he wants. You have not put a stop against anything. You have not gone to the court. You have not charged him. You have not even locked him up for a single night. And he stole $10 billion according to you. So once you're intelligent and you're studying what is going on, you will see very clearly that these people have abysmally failed, and they are continuing to fail to establish and prove these wild and reckless allegations of corruption. And they are continuing to fail. And as they continue to fail, they are becoming more and more desperate. And that is why you hear them say that they are going to set up now a prosecutorial office. Well, this prosecutorial office, they intend to staff with their own cronies. So they have their own police force, SOKU and SARU. They have their own auditors, the forensic auditors. So they are auditing you. Then when they get the information that they want, because they are choosing the auditors, so they are going to instruct the auditors what to find. And when the auditor finds that, it passes to their own police force. They investigate it themselves. Then they send it to their own prosecutor's office for legal advice, because Shalimar Ali Haq and the DPP office is not giving them the advice that they want. So they got their own prosecutors who will advise. And of course the prosecutor will advise in accordance with their wishes, and they will charge, and those prosecutors will prosecute, and soon you will hear them say that they are going to establish special courts to hear these matters. So they are establishing, in order to prove their fabricated charges of corruption, they are setting up a parallel administration of criminal justice system with their own auditors, their own investigators, their own prosecutors, and now they are going to have their own courts. All of that to prove that they are right, rather than accept that they are wrong. And you know what this will cost? Do you know what it will cost a poor country like Guyana? The economy is dead, as you know, and here it is that they are spending hundreds of millions of dollars that can aid the sugar industry, that can aid the rice industry, that can aid the farmers in Blackbush. They're not concerned about that. They're not concerned about that. These are things that can earn money, earn employment, can put money in the treasury. They are not concerned about that. They are concerned about spending. Their priority is to spend and to prove themselves right and to vilify the PPP and destroy the credibility of the political opposition. That is their agenda. But guess what? Their corruption now, 1 year in office, is overwhelming everybody. 1 year in office, whatever they think that the PPP stole, Whatever they think the PPP stole in 23 years, it looks as though they want to steal it in 2 years. It looks as though they want to steal that in 2 years. So the first thing that they do, they grant themselves a 100% increase in their salaries. And of course they bought new vehicles, so they're living in luxury. They got themselves into new homes. Who didn't have a house, they're renting houses, $500,000 a month rental, houses with swimming pools and so on. These are people who used to live in an apartment. Now they're living in houses and paying rent at $500,000. And the corruption kept building and building. We heard about the fuel smuggling. A large number of senior government people are involved in smuggling of fuel. We know about the amount of contracts that are being awarded without going to public procurement. No tendering whatsoever, because boys are getting kickbacks. Then you know about the Durban Park. Over $2 billion they spent. On the books, they say they spent over $1 billion, but the project was over $2 billion. They claim that they get $1 billion in donation. Yet no one can produce a list of the names of the people who donated and to whom they donate and how much money they donated. They believe that people are stupid. So the corruption in government has become rampant and it stinks. So much so, last night in the Committee of Supply, imagine they passed a budget for $238 billion in February, month 10. The Appropriation Act was assented to in March, so they began to spend in March. March, April, May, June, July. 5 months. And they are back in the Parliament asking for $3 billion more. They had $238 billion that they took. That is what the national budget was in the month of February. It began to be spent in March. 5 months after, in August, 6 months after, in August, they come back to the Parliament for $3 billion more. And as we were questioning them about this $3 billion, what they wanted for, some stunning information came out. And you must have read the newspapers. This government is renting a place in Sussex Street, Georgetown. Sussex Street is South Georgetown. It is at the mouth of Albarstown. It is one of the most rundown parts of the city of Georgetown. No property of any great value is located in that area, and that is where they see fit to rent a building to store drugs. Now, a bond to store drugs must comply with certain international requirements prescribed by organizations like the World Health Organization or the Pan American Health Organization. Because drugs and pharmaceuticals require a certain degree of refrigeration, and it requires a certain degree of hygiene to permeate the environment in which these drugs are stored. So you can't go and store drugs in any and all place. The building must be certified to meet the international standards. Well, the building is located, as I said, in Sussex Street, Charlestown, Georgetown, next to Albarstown. The building, when I looked at it, I saw photographs of it. It's a 2-story house. It's a 2-story residential building. That building cannot worth more than 30 million Guyana dollars. It can't worth more than 30 million Guyana dollars, which is about 150,000 US. Can't worth more than that. This government, without going to procurement, without publicly advertising, without any form of public bidding, they handpicked one of their friends, a man named Larry Singh. He owns a company called Linden Holdings Inc. Linden Holdings Inc. His name is Larry Singh. Very close confederate of certain members in the government. And they rent him the place. They rent the place from him, this house. The minister said that this house is certified for EU standards, certified by PAHO as a fit and proper place to store drugs. Well, look at the Kaicho News and look at the newspapers, or if you want, you can go on my Facebook page and you will see that I have big photographs of this house. There is no way that it can be certified to meet international standards. But that's not the story. The monthly rental is $12,500,000 a month. $12,500,000 a month. For 1 year, the rental will be $150 million. They rent the place for 3 years. The total rent at the end of the 3-year period will be 450 million Guyana dollars. 450 million Guyana dollars. Over 2.2 million US dollars. That is what it will rent for over a 3-year period. And the building a value of 150,000 US. In a value $30 million. That can't be. It can't value that. Not having regard to its appearance, not having regard to where it is. It is in the ghetto of Georgetown. It is in the ghetto of South Georgetown. And that is what this government is doing. Now this man, his office is located in a building in Middle Street, Georgetown, that is owned by Cathy Hughes. It used to be Sidewalk Cafe on Middle Street. That is where upstairs, where the man's office is, this Linden Holding Company, in Cathy Hughes building. And downstairs, he has a bar where the Sidewalk Cafe used to be. And that bar is the watering hole of all the ministers of the government who drink. That is where they are drinking on Fridays and Saturdays. So you see the incest and the corruption that I'm speaking about? Well, I don't think you want a clearer picture than that. I don't think anyone needs a clearer picture of corruption than that. They always like to vilify and cuss out the new GPC and Bobby Ramroop. But guess what? Bobby Ramroop has the best bond facility, not only in Guyana, but the entire Caribbean. The entire Caribbean. The GPC bond is certified by all the international organizations. And most significantly, for all the years that the PVP Civic bought drugs from New GPC stored the drugs free and delivered it whenever the government wanted it. And another important point that must be made is that our government, the PVP government, built a state-of-the-art bond at Diamond, huge bond at Diamond, so that we don't have to pay these millions of dollars in rents per month. And guess what? The government doesn't want to use the bond, but it wants to give their friends contracts. And don't tell me that somebody not getting a kickback. The man received 3 months rent in advance. 1 month was for rent and 2 months was security deposit. $25 million security deposit alone. $25 million security deposit. So the man received 25 plus 12.5. 25 and 10, 35 and 2, 37. $37.5 million he received when he signed that contract as a down payment. And it's a 3-year contract that will yield him rent in the total sum of $450 million. And these are the people who have the audacity, who have the gall to speak about corruption. I don't know of a greater abuse and misuse of public funds in the entire world than this singular transaction. I don't know of any other abuse of this kind anywhere in the world. This is notorious. This is terrible. Terrible. This is not ordinary corruption. This is bare-faced corruption. And the people of Berbice must hold Ramjatan and Nagamutu and Ramaya and Charandas answerable. They must explain to you, why is it that their government is renting a bond, a house for 12.5 million US dollars, Guyana dollars, 62,000 US dollars a month. Do you know what you can get in America for 62,000 US dollars a month? And these people have the audacity to speak about corruption and accusing people of corruption. And when we call upon them to debate in the parliament corruption, and we said to them that we will release all our bank accounts, we will release all of our properties, we will release all of our sources of income, we are prepared to do that. They are accusing us of corruption, and we are saying that we are prepared to make all these disclosures, to say how much taxes we pay, how much income we earn, what we own, irrespective of where they are located. We are prepared to put that out there to the public if they are prepared to do it. And they are not prepared to do it. And they are the ones who are saying that we are corrupt. And they are afraid to make these disclosures to the public. Well, comrades, you have to judge for yourself. You have to judge for yourself. You are big people. You are sensible people. You are an educated people. And you will determine to what extent you will allow people to blind you with lies when the truth is staring you there in the face like a bright light. Let me show you another example of the corruption that I'm speaking about. I have here a document. It's a court order. Dipcon Engineering Services. Dipcon, that's a company that builds road. This company sued the PPP government in 2009. The PPP government hired a lawyer, prominent lawyer in private practice, to defend this claim, because we said that we are not in breach of any contract. They sue us for monies and for breach of contract, and we are saying that we are not in breach. So we defended this action. In 2015 November, the case concluded. In 2015 November, after we left government, the case concluded and judgment was granted against the government. On the 21st of October 2015, judgment was granted against the government in the sum of $640 $165,000 US and 1.5 million US dollars, 1,563,368 US dollars, 1,563,368 US dollars, along with 665,000 US dollars, along with costs and in the sum of 1.2 million and interest. That was granted against this government in October, and the Attorney General never filed an appeal. Never filed an appeal. So this government now has to pay DIPCON rather than defend this matter, rather than file an appeal against the matter. They have to now pay DIPCON over $2 million US dollars. They are not defending the matters. They are not defending. They are not, the court ruled against them, they are not appealing. They want to pay this money. They want to take taxpayers' money and pay $2 million US dollars to a contractor. Are you telling me that they are not getting a kickback? Why would you want to pay? When you have a strong case, judges make mistakes, judges give wrong decisions, you have a right of appeal. Why are you not exercising the right of appeal? Why are you giving away state money like this? So that's one case. Let me deal with a second case. BK International. In 2009, BK International, along with another company called Puran Brothers, entered into a contract with the government of Guyana to build a waste disposable site at Haxbush on the east bank of Demerara. It was a $10 million US contract funded by the Inter-American Development Bank. BK joined up with Puran Brothers because the contract requires a company with some experience in garbage management and disposal. BK did not have any, so BK brought along Puran Brothers. As soon as the contract was signed, BK kicked out Puran Brothers out of the place, and BK took over the entire project. From 2010, thereabouts when the project began, it was replete with contractual breaches by BK International. Replete with contractual breaches. They were not the compaction that was used for the garbage was wrong. They were not picking up garbage on time. They were not disposing of the garbage on time. They were not managing the site as they should. We wrote in government, we wrote several letters identifying various breaches of various terms of the contract and calling upon the contractor to rectify them. Those letters bore no fruits. We invited the contractor to several meetings attended by me, presided over by President Ramatar, and a whole host of ministers, Ashley Singh, the Minister of Local Government, Whitaker, Ganga Singh, and a whole set of people, Walter Willis, and so on, technical people. We had a series of meetings trying to get this contractor to rectify his breaches. Those series of engagements also did not yield fruits. When this government, I wrote a letter to terminate the contract. I wrote the letter as Attorney General to terminate the contract and for the contractor to remove from the site. That was in 2014. By that time, elections came and there was a change in government. This government, when it took over office, BK International challenged my letter terminating the contract, and the court ruled in his favor. This Attorney General filed an appeal against that ruling of the judge. When they went into government, Minister Patterson and Minister Bulkan went to the site, and they created a great furore about the state and condition of the site. They said that the contractor job was atrociously done. They said that this thing is in a state of crisis. They said that the contractor breached the contract. They said that the thing is a national disaster, that it will affect the lives of thousands of people who are likely to get sick. They deployed emergency crew from the DNI, from the NDIA, and from the Ministry of Agriculture to help. And a whole host of money was spent in trying to bring the disaster, according to them, under control. They said very clearly that this contractor did a horrible job, that he breached the contract. They filed an appeal against the decision of the judge, who said that the termination of the contract was unlawful. Guess what? Rather than sue that contractor, rather than file a writ against B&K International and pursue your appeal at the same time, this government reward BK by settling the matter with them and paying BK $1.1 billion. You are telling me that there is not corruption there? That somebody is not getting a kickback? A company that costs you so much. The IDB told us in very clear language, told us and told this government that unless they get rid of that contractor, IDB will no longer fund this project. So bad was the work. And this government, rather than sue that contractor, award that contractor compensation of $1.1 billion. Last night, when I started to ask the minister, because they come to Parliament now for the money to pay the contractor, and when I got Bulkan to stand up and to answer the questions I was asking, he can't answer. He can't answer. The Attorney General, normally a very, very clueless man, he stepped in an attempt to help Bulkan. Of course, you know him. He can't get a sentence correct. And he put the government in more problems because he outlined how bad the work was. He said about the terrible job that the contractor did. Yet he can't answer me why he didn't pursue his appeal. Yet he can't answer me that the contract was so terribly done. The contractor did such a horrible job. Why are you coming here for $1.1 billion to compensate him for? What, you're rewarding him for breaching the contract? But that is the corruption that is taking place in this country. That is case number 2. Let me go to case number 3. Rudisa. You will remember that the Suriname company, Rudisa, sued us because of certain taxes which we impose on Parbu beer and Trill drinks that are imported in this country. That we are not supposed to charge them any tax because they are any duties, because they are CARICOM neighbors and we have a treaty with the CARICOM people that we can't charge them. So they took us to the court. In the court, the Caribbean Court of Justice adjourned the matter for me to go back and take that offensive provision in the law out. I took an amendment of the law to the Parliament to get rid of this offensive provision. The Surinamese company tell me that they will agree. They told the court that once this thing is removed, they are going to withdraw their case. I took it to Parliament. Them boys were in the opposition. they kick it out. They controlled the parliament at that time. They had 33 seats. I brought the thing twice. I brought it once. Ashley Singh brought it a second time. They voted against it each time. As a result, the court ordered Guyana to pay $1.2 billion in refund to the Suriname company. 6 million US dollars we had to pay in compensation as a result of the stupidity of this government when they were in the opposition. And guess what? In cross-examination at the Caribbean Court of Justice, I cross-examined the main witness for the Suriname company. And the man explained in his cross-examination that they under-invoice these products when they imported it into the country. That the real value of the products, the real value is they are not selling these products at their real value. They had to lower the price because in order to prove their case that they suffered discrimination and they suffered loss, they had to show that they sold below their cost price in the Guyana market, to show that the other competitors got an advantage over them. So they had to say that they lowered their cost. So I asked the man, I said, okay, when you lower the cost, that you did so at the time when the product entered the country? He said, yes. I said, therefore, the cost that you submitted at customs, at the GRA, is not the real cost of the goods. He said, no, it's not the real cost. I said to him, therefore you are under-invoicing. You are not declaring the real value so that you are not paying your true and rightful taxes at the point of entry into Guyana of these goods. And at that time, he couldn't backpedal. And he had to agree. So we have under oath the evidence of this company saying to the CCJ that they under-invoice. When I came back, I instructed Khurshid Sattar, who was the Commissioner General at the time, to call in the company and start an audit of every single bottle that they imported in this country. And they have to pay back cost duties to the extent of their under-invoicing. When that process would have been completed, that company would have still owed us and we would not have had to pay them a cent, because we would have set off the $600 million judgment that we got, and we would not have had to pay that company a cent. In fact, the company would have had to pay us, and that is why that company never asked our government to pay that judgment, because they knew that is what my response would have been. As soon as this government got into power, they started to pay $300 million, $300 million US dollars one time they paid. And they paid another installment. They pay off the judgment. A judgment that did not have to be paid. $1.2 billion. Imagine what that could have done for the rice industry. Imagine what that could have done for the drainage and irrigation in this country. Imagine what $1.2 billion in drugs could have done to the New Amsterdam Hospital and all the health centers in this country. That is how they are sharing away this money. Because again I'm saying that somebody got a kickback when they pay that judgment. And I have 4 other cases that I want to talk about, but we are running out of time. All of it. And I'm going to write my article for next week, and I'm going to detail these things to show you and to show the country the level of corruption that is taking place in this country. And these are the people who are accusing the PPP government of corruption. I don't know if something is wrong with the phone, but I'm not getting any movement here. Caller, maybe the phone is not hooked up properly. Anyhow, so, comrades and friends, the corruption is rampant in this government. And everybody has some bad about them, but everybody has good about them. This government is incompetent. I mean, I don't think anybody is disputing that. They can't manage the country. The economy is suffering. As a result, people are suffering. Because of their incompetence, they are raising taxes because they can't get the productive sectors to go to perform. So, and they're running out of money to do absolute foolishness because they're not making sense what they're doing with the money. So what they're doing is taxing you. People are enduring all of that. And people are staying quiet, even their own supporters. They are discriminating. They are witch hunting. People are prepared to tolerate all of that. But people will not tolerate that along with their corruption. Because everyone must have a redeeming character. You must have some silver line running through the cloud. Everything can be bad. Where is the silver lining in this government? Where is the silver lining in this government? The other day I posted on my Facebook page the fact that the rice industry is so plagued with so many problems. The government is refusing to assist. The government said clearly to the farmers, rice is not the government's business. We submitted an 11-point plan to the government. Among the things that we are asking the government to do in order to help the rice farmers are: 1, remove taxes on equipment and materials connected to the rice industry. That's what we asked for. And we asked to remove rental from state lands where rice farmers have rented. We asked, those are 2 of 11 things that we have asked the government to do. You know what the government has done? They impose VAT on agricultural equipment, impose VAT for the first time on agricultural equipment, and has now signaled an intention that they are going to raise rents at the MMA. So the MMA farmers got another nail driven in the coffin. You can't get market for your rice. Rice being destroyed by flooding and parasites. They can't drain the land properly. And on top of all of that, they are now going to drive another nail in your coffin by raising your rental. By raising your rental. The phone is, I'm trying to get the phone going, but it's not, the phone is not working. I don't know what's going on. So I ask viewers to visit my Facebook page. It's a very informative forum. I try to post at least one item per day, and I express my opinion on a number of important issues that are part of our daily lives. And fortunately, many of the reporters in the media visit my page, and they would pull down stories from my page, and I read regularly in the mainstream media that some of my views or some of my postings make the media, and for that I am very, very happy. So viewers, please, you type in my name, Mohabir Anil Nandlal, and you will see my account and my public page will come up, and then you click on the public page and you will click like, and then whatever I post you will get to see after that. Caller, you're on the air. Good night. Yes, sir.
Suppose the guy from Blackbush.
Yes.
We are originally from Johanna South. And you get a problem in the street, they concern on bridge. The street mix and on bridge mix, but they very two streets together. And we put a cross on the bridge. 3 years gone back. Now, once the rice farmer go to Mr. Ramay and Yamsan, tell him say how they want to break out the cross for pass to tractor, heavy duty machine through the bridge and the street. The street will get covered with car and with coaching and so on. He get a whole for doing everything like that. For break down the cross, carry the material, and use the street and the bridge permanently. He said when the street broke up, then Mr. Taku Pasar, the chairman of Blackbush, was give a report, and then he go look after that.
When this happened?
Yesterday.
Alright. Well, could you and the delegation led by Mr. Thakur Prasad, I hope Comrade Thakur is listening to me, and go and meet Dennis DeRoop at the regional office?
Yeah.
Could you do that to me tomorrow?
Yeah, he said tomorrow Dennis DeRoop will come to my Curie.
Oh, Dennis coming to my Curie?
But here, we get the chairman in the region 6, right, Mr.
Armagan,
right?
Yeah.
When we reached yesterday, he said how he know the story because he tried for the crowd because they were provide the damaging for the street and the bridge.
Right.
So like the vehicle thing was passed alone. Not no big tractor and heavy combine at the hands and
right.
he didn't get it okay, but he said he didn't know how Mr. Ramay can do this.
But he's going to reverse the decision?
Oh, people bypass here and go to Mr. Ramay and Ramay okay.
Alright. Well, go down. Well, if Dennis DeRoop is coming to my Curie tomorrow,
Yeah.
make sure that you get your delegation to go and speak with him. Alright?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
That caller from Blackbush. I want to say good evening to all the people in Blackbush. Caller, you're on the air.
Oh, good night.
Hi. Where are you calling me from?
64.
64, yes. Far away, man.
Yeah. We get some problems on land here, right land.
What's the problem?
This plant where they over 40 years now. Right? The old parents them cultivate their land here. They got acres of country up on the land. Now they keep the man who say he own the land. Claim he want 8,000 acre per crop, where we used to pay 4,000 acre a year. Now that's double the thing.
But you all know that sounds like a legal issue, you know, man. You have a lawyer?
No.
But the persons who are affected
Yeah.
have to form themselves into a group
Yeah.
and go and consult a lawyer and let the lawyer advise you on what to do.
Yeah.
Alright?
Yeah.
You can go to an Adrian Anamaya. He's a Corriverton.
Yeah, well, he will against the farmer, for the same problem. All the farmer going for the problem, none get justice.
Well, I don't think he is on the Rights Assessment Committee anymore.
Oh, come out.
He come off. So maybe he can help you now.
Okay.
Alright?
Yeah, okay.
Good caller, thank you. Yeah, time is going. We are about program time. I did a lot of talking in this program. I only realized that just now. Caller, you're on the air.
Good night, sir.
Good night. Where are you calling from?
Good luck.
Bushlat? West Coast?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I noticed the Minister of Agriculture said that you have to raise the rent at MMA.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yes.
MMA have to provide certain services to the farmer also.
This government not check on services, man. You know understand what I tell you?
They know. Well,
It's just raise tax, raise rent, raise fees, whatever they can raise. They want to squeeze every drop of blood out of the population.
I understand what you say. But I'm saying,
They're not concerned about returning service.
like dam and so on, they don't have not even a piece of equipment to make no dam. You know? And all the dams in a deplorable state.
I know, I saw some pictures
Yes.
of the state of the dam.
You know, we are not kind of we are going inside.
I know.
Right, sir.
Well, look, what we have to become proactive. You have to get the rice RPA. And I do a protest in front of the MMA. I will speak to Siraj if you all are interested.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Right? And these people they have to know they try to raise the rent at a place called Hope, at Hope Estate. And I got the people to protest. And I sent lawyers letters.
What am I saying?
And they put the decision on hold.
What am I saying is, you said the rent is very, very old. You need to be adjusted. That only 85 or 80 that this is the story about. They want to a place where hold and live. If that rent not where pay the tax there for people and house. If that is the 60s that thing happening.
I know.
That we don't say they are just so.
But comrade, alright, thank you, caller.
Good.
These people don't understand that the state does not provide these services to make a profit. These guys believe that they're running a business, they're running a government, it's a welfare state. A welfare state has a duty to provide land for its people, like a house lot. When we share house lots in this country and charge you 100,000 and 50,000 and 200,000 of a house lot, you think you think we're selling your house lot? That is not the cost of a house lot. We are subsidizing them. The government was subsidizing that house lot, and you were only paying a fee. These people run the government to make profit. Caller, you're on the air. Caller?
Hello, good night.
Good night. Could you lower your TV, please? Come on, time is of the essence.
Mr. Nandela.
Yes.
Yes, this MMA the rent. You tell me. They didn't tell you all the time about rent. All of a sudden they just send this rent rate, the rent money, 100 and how much thousand. I have married from since 2011.
Yeah.
4 years. Every year I'm going twice a year to pay the eye. The person who is giving me that thing, they will say, well, look, what happened to rent? No. Then they tell about rent. Then they'll come and just give you $100 and how much $1,000. I went to Mr. Charles, they can't read it for it.
And you know what? They are not providing the services. If you read your MMA lease, alright?
That's what they asked me, but you see, I didn't read it. That's what
Must read the MMA lease, and you will see that the lessor has obligations that they must perform. They are not performing their obligations, but they are now want to alter the contract to increase your rent. Well, if you don't agree to that, then they cannot increase that. They have to go to the court. And I am advising all rice farmers tonight on this television, do not concede, do not agree to the increase of rent. The law is very clear. The landlord cannot unilaterally raise rent, especially against rice farmers. You are protected. Alright?
Yes, thank you.
Good. And it is not $1,000, you know. It is $1,000 multiply by the number of years that you have the lease. So if you have a lease for 10 years, and it's 4 acres, is $40,000 alone, and then $1,000 per acre. So it's coming up to a lot of money depending upon how much time you have your lease for. Caller, you're on the air.
Good night, Mr. Nalal.
Yes, you are the final call.
Yes, I see something in the news this Channel 10. They put up some pictures of some people who drink and drive, right? But I wonder to know why when Mr. Gregor is releasing the criminal, why they're not putting the pictures and mention what offense they have committed.
Very good point. Thank you very much, caller. We will close with that. The caller is making a very fundamental point that persons who are being charged with drinking and driving, their photographs are being displayed publicly on the television and I believe in the newspapers. But the persons, the convicted felons whom President Granger is pardoning, we are not allowed to know even their names. Most of their photographs. Their names we don't know. Why they are being pardoned, we don't know. What offense they were convicted for, we don't know. And the people are saying that that must stop. We must have full disclosure of information that are relevant to the people's welfare and to the public interest. Callers, this is where I have to say goodbye. Caller, I'm sorry I can't take this call. The phone ringing non-stop. Viewers, Region 5, Region 6, once again, it's time. Remember that slogan, it's time? Well, every good thing comes to an end. This is where I have to say goodbye. Until we meet again, we have had a good program. I dealt with the important issue of corruption, and I intend to continue discussing that issue and the matters that I was dealing with when I resume this program next week. So until I see you, please stay well and enjoy the rest of your week. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much and God's blessings.